Hello, my name is Ortez, and welcome back to another podcast episode of Insure Your Success, where we have real conversations about entrepreneurship. So today I got a special guest. I got someone that flew in all the way from Chicago, Illinois. Someone that is a sister to me, even though we got different mothers, but she's a sister to me. She's been a good friend to me, a mentor, someone that I could trust, uh, someone I could confide in and know that it's not going to go no further, someone that I am proud of, someone that's direct. When you need a direct answer, she's going to answer to a question. She's going to give you a direct answer. If you need a direct answer to a question, she's a successful businesswoman. She's a grandmother, a mother, uh, involved in the community. No other than my business partners. Y'all can see we represent ORS. You know, she's the R in the middle of the O and the S. And shout out to my brother Sam Gross there. But the ORS, she the one that keep the balance. She the one that makes sure we stay in compliance and as well as guard our money, which is really important when you're in partnerships. I have no other than my special guest, Miss Rosetta Davis. Welcome to the Insure Your Success podcast.
Well, you gave me a real good introduction. I was like, "Oh, okay." So that when you hear about yourself from someone else, you be like, "Oh, okay. I did a couple of things. I am about something. Okay, okay." So listen, you guys, I am so honored to be a part of this podcast. I am a very, very behind the scenes person. So he's been trying to get me on this podcast about 2 years that he's been talking to me about podcasting. I told him, I said, I'm popping in and I'm doing a podcast. That's what we're doing today. I love my business partner. He takes a lot of the weight off of me on the things that I don't like doing. He allows me to be myself and throw a bunch of audibles out there. Um, I'm not scripted, even when it comes down to meetings. I can do an impromptu meeting. It just comes to my brain, but it always works out. But he never complains. And our other partner, Sam, he works off the energy of he never says anything unless he needs to get involved and say, okay, you two. Because I'm the R and he the O, but Sam is the anchor, which is the S. And I could not be more honored to have two of the most humble but successful business partners out there. And they truly allowed me to be the real woman in the business too, because when it's too much on me, they say, oh no, don't worry about it. We'll do the heavy lifting. I'm like, thank you, Lord. But they will call on me. And when they do, I come running because we have a perfect scenario in us. This is a perfect business marriage that took years to find.
Yes, it is.
Now, we'll talk about that down the road.
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you for being my partner. Thank you for all of that you do for me. Thank you for what you do for Oars. Thank you for allowing me to bounce off of you because he's the same thing. I can call him with an hour-long sermonette and it's going to stay right there on the phone. He probably take it to prayer like, help her, Lord. But it's all in confidence and I appreciate you. I truly appreciate you.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and thank you for flying in. Y'all, right after this, we got a meeting, so that's why she here. We got to meet with the T, so flew all the way in from Chicago, and that's what dedication is all about. So let's jump right into it. And so I always start off with my guests to introduce yourself, tell us a little background, where you're from, where you was raised, where you was born, what it was like growing up. Just a little bit about you. About you, so our audience can get to know a little bit about you personally.
Well, my name is Rosetta Davis. As he said, I'm originally from Chicago, grew up in the high rise projects of Chicago. I always tell people where I grew up and a little backdrop because if you don't give a person the backdrop, you don't allow them to see what it's like to get to where you are, whether it's working a job, whether it's being a homemaker, whether it's being the breadwinner as a male provider, whether it's being an entrepreneur, whatever you started, that kind of like takes the journey to where you end or where you continue to go. So, as I stated, I grew up in the projects of Chicago. My grandmother moved us to the suburbs when middle class was really still middle class, and we lived in the in the south side of Chicago in my teen years. And from there, I got married young, went off to the military with my kid's father, and then came back to Chicago. Just kind of, from there, I'm just going to fast forward and move to Atlanta with my insurance company that I had established in 2005 in Chicago by the name of Goshen Enterprise. Always have been an entrepreneur. I am a serial entrepreneur. I've had a medical collection company. I just sold Avon and then grew a team of 25 on that. So whatever I've done, I've always grabbed it by the horns, really looked into it and dug deep and figured out what can I do to get this to the next level. So I came to Atlanta in 2015 and was blessed to meet my partner here in 2015, but we didn't become true partners and merged our company until right at COVID. And we'll pivot to that later on. But, instead of us going out of business, we had to figure out how to pivot and how to survive through it. And when we came out of it, what can we do to never have to pivot again, but continue to just move forward in that? So that's just a little bit about me.
Oh, right. All right. So let me ask you this. So I always ask, particularly when I have insurance agents on the podcast, how did you get into the insurance business? Because none of us grew up saying we're going to be an insurance agent, but how did you get into the business?
Well, okay. So I was a medical finance director at a hospital by the name of Rush Surgical Center. And I was looking out the window one day, and God spoke to my spirit that I'm going to put you in an industry that is going to bring you wealth. And a gentleman that worked in a hospital would always speak to me and just constantly talk to me. And I thought he was flirting, but he was really trying to recruit me. He worked for Prime America. If you know, you know. I'm not even gonna get into Prime America, but they the recruiting engine. And he said, I think that you would do, after we talked a while, he felt comfortable with me. He said, I think you would do really well in the industry of insurance. I'm like, oh, I didn't know anything about insurance. I'm like, well, I don't know about that. He said, but you just look like you have that personality that can really go far in the industry. So he did that for about 90 days. And I finally was at a place at my job that I didn't want to be there anymore because I was used to entrepreneurship, but I took a job because you have to do what you have to do for your children. I was a single mom, so I had to go and get insurance and things like that. But I took his invitation, went to a meeting, and the rest was history. I got my life license, didn't know anything about health because Prime America only talk about life, but I got the life license. I worked for them for about 45 days and knew that that wasn't the industry for me, but it put me in the industry. And then I just continued to look for companies and then and just stay and stuck with it. What made me stay inside of it was because I got with a company and they were teaching me how to sell annuities and market annuities, and I was in a teacher market. So when I do things, I don't really count the cost. I weigh the cost, but I'd never really just track it. And so what I would do is, and I do this even to today, on the first of every month, I reset myself. And I say, okay, I need to make this amount of money. I need to service this amount of people. I need to expose myself to this amount of businesses. And then I just go from day 1 through 30. And then I look up and see what I've done. And then I can review myself and say, I need to change this or add that or keep this. So that's how I do a self check. But I was in the school system and I was doing my presentations and I did a month run. And I woke up one day, I still wasn't sold on the industry, but I woke up one day to a check in my bank account for like $17,000. And it kind of scared me because I'm like, did they mess up? So I didn't want to call them because I didn't want to give back the money, but I have integrity. So I called and the lady was like, oh no, that's your commission. I said, really? So I was rolling over I was rolling over 403Bs into annuities. And when she told me that that was my real money out of 30 days of work, I said, oh, yeah, this is the industry for me. So it was by accident, but it wasn't by accident. It was by design because I reflect back to what God had put in my spirit about giving me financial wealth. And this is an industry that can give it to you untapped. It's all about the work ethic. It's all about the integrity. It's all about the heart. You got to have heart. You got to have, patience, and you have to really not say what most people say, oh, I'm here to help the people and serve the people. No, you really have to mean that, because that is what will get you wealth. Because when you help one person to the fullest of what you can, they're going to tell everybody about you. And once you get that paycheck, you become a part of their family, because every hiccup inside of their portfolio becomes your problem as well. But that's how I got into insurance, by being recruited by Prime America.
Okay. All right. So eventually you made a transition from being an agent to an agency owner, and you started your own insurance agency. And that's the thing that I kind of want you to talk about a little bit, how you made that transition. Because a lot of people come in our industry and a lot of them just stay as agents, really creating themselves a job and never really transitioning to agency ownership. And a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs start out hustling, whether it may be hustling insurance, hustling selling shoes, cakes, food, whatever the case may be, but have a hard time of transitioning to ownership, because there's a difference between being an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, I should say, because we all are entrepreneurs, to actually running a business. So how what sparked in you to say, okay, I got to take this to another level and transition from just being an agent to agency owner and opening up my own agency?
That's a good question, and that's a good opening to being an agency owner is the sexy part of being a entrepreneur as an insurance agent. And what I mean by that is that it expands your mind. I, as I stated, was servicing the annuity market, and I went to a meeting at an Allianz meeting. Allianz is an insurance company that offers annuities, and they had a workshop, and I sat by a gentleman in that uh, audience. And I'm always, I meet no strangers. I decide, I always speak, I always open up a conversation, but I let you, based off the interaction, decide where the conversation is going to go. So he was very open. We was talking, and I was, he was open to me, and I was asking him questions. And that's how I got into the agency part, because I always have a mind of inquiry. As an entrepreneur, you have to always ask yourself why, what, and when. Don't settle for where you are as an entrepreneur. Always do the what, why, when, because that's going to take you to different places where you need to go. So I always was like, if I'm making this kind of money, I wonder what I can do to really, fine tune my craft. Well, that led me to workshops. I was sitting by the gentleman, and I was talking to him, and I said, so what company do you work for? And he said, I own my own agency. I said, how do you do that? And he asked me questions. I said, that was the what, why, when, and how. I said, well, how do you, what, I don't understand what that means. And he was sharing with me that, oh no, I own all of my contracts, and I get 100% of my money. I said, oh, okay. So you don't have to share with anyone. He said, no, you have to share. He said, but you have to become your own self-study as well. You have to learn your contracts. You have to learn the insurance company, the agencies, that you become your own person as an agency. And I asked him, so how? How do you do that? He said, well, take my card, and if you're serious, give me a call and I'll walk you through it. And that was my first mentor inside of the insurance world. Never, always have an inquiry mind, because it's going to lead you to, when it's time for you to get to next levels in whatever you're doing, is going to lead you to that next mentor. A mentor is always someone that can graduate you to where you are trying to get to the next place, because you don't know. So God will always put a person in your path that will have the answers for you. If you're asking the questions, you just ask the questions out loud. Always have a journal to write down the answers and always be prepared to be an open listener like a sponge and receive and be coachable. So that's how I started my journey as an agency. He sparked that thought in my brain. And as I spoke with him and as I talked with him, within 30 days, Goshen Enterprise Marketing was established. Then I started looking for a location, and the rest was history. I didn't know much about the industry on how to build it out. So I had a lot of hiccups because I grew very fast. He showed me how to recruit. And I think within like 4 months, I had like about 35 agents and didn't have a clue on what I was doing. I was only in the industry for about a year. So, I grew too fast, but it was a good grow. But that's how I started as an agency. And once you start as an agency, now what you're doing is you're pouring into other people. And what I mean by I had hiccups because I didn't know enough about the industry to pour into them the right way. So I would always have to call people and ask questions and get things like that. But so everything that I went through from there to here, I always try to share that with agents that I see are really go-getters, that have great work ethics, that are coachable, that are like a sponge. They ask a lot of questions and they receive answers. I always tell any agent, make this your career. If you are no longer, if you've reached a ceiling to where you are, start an agency. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. That's going to come with some work. But as an agency, that's when you really can pour fruit into the industry from an agency owner, as establishing other agents, but also as a client base, because it speaks to the client to let them know that you're so ingrained in this industry and you're married to this industry that you have opened up your own agency and created a foundation, so you're not going anywhere. Because as clients, they always want to make sure that you're not going to disappear on them as well. So as an agency, it's not easy work, but it's gratifying work.
Mhm. Okay. So let's talk about some of those hiccups. Because as you said, that agency owner, it sounds sexy, but it ain't nothing sexy about it. Okay. I think, being a business owner, it sounds sexy, but it ain't nothing sexy about it. Being a leader, it sounds sexy, but it ain't nothing sexy about it. So let's talk about some of the hiccups and how those hiccups, what you learned from the hiccups, how you overcame some of those hiccups. So elaborate on some of these hiccups when you decide to make this transition from being, an entrepreneur, solopreneur, to, as some people say, a boss, because it sounds sexy. So let's talk a little bit about that, and and some of those challenges and what those challenges taught you and how you may overcame some of them.
Okay, I'm going to do it in bullet points. Let's start with the human nature. So when I said that I grew too fast, let's talk about that hiccup. I had about 30 or 35 agents and didn't have a lot of wisdom in the industry. But I'm a hard case study. So I studied the industry and I went to I had other people in the industry that knew some of the answers and they knew how to direct me. I will always call the insurance companies to get the wisdom on the compliance and the contract, because I believe in knowing what you're talking about. And I was always up late at night studying to get the answers to deliver to the agents when we would have our meetings. The hiccup with that is I didn't know how to recruit. I just recruited whoever wanted to come on board. And that is a monumental mistake for any agency owner. You really only need 10 successful people, but you have to go through hundreds of people to find those successful people. But you have to categorize your time and your attention. I had agents calling me at 9 o'clock at night and want to have a whole dissertation on the phone about what wasn't working. And I would find myself between studying, listening to them. I spent 90% of my time catering to that team. But what I found was, now that I reflect back, the ones that I didn't hear from was the producers. Those were the high riders. They didn't have time to talk to me. They was out there making their money. They was putting what I told them, what I showed them, they were implementing it and they were going out there making it happen. So what I found with that is you never turn away any agent, but you make sure that you give them the attention that's needed. We'll talk about that later. That was hiccup number one. I allowed the agency to drain me. I had no life because I was always on the phone talking to non-productive people because I felt like I was obligated to do that. And that's not the truth. You don't have to talk to everyone about everything because those that are out there working and implementing what you tell them, they are not going to be on the phone complaining about what didn't work. That's number one. Number two is understand your contracts. My partner says that I'm the compliance person and the money person is because of great loss. When you don't understand your contracts and you're reading those contracts and you're signing them and you're recruiting. I started off my agency with 35 people as a LOA, and he already know what that means. That was a nightmare train wreck because all the money is coming to you and you're paying it out. But when those applications and those contracts that they wrote on people fall bad, it falls back on you as well. So I did not know and I did not understand that when I was doing the contracting, I did all LOAs because that was what someone suggested to me. But when I had a few bad actors on the team that were writing a lot of quick business, and I had a $17,000 chargeback, and I didn't know how to navigate through that. I didn't know at that time that I could really, put the debt back on them. It was a lot of those things. So I had a lot of debt. Although I was making a lot of money, I looked up and had a lot of debt as well. That was the hiccup number two. Know your audience and what you're looking for in an agent to help build your agency, and know your contracting. That's number two. That's the second hiccup. And then number three is understand the market. So I had about 15 to 20 different contracts and I was all over the place. I was dealing with ancillary products, life insurance, health insurance, retirement. And when you have too many contracts and you have agents working all these different contracts, it's hard to track your money. You have money coming from every direction and you don't really know where it's coming from. And you haven't really honed in on a craft because you can sell insurance is a huge industry. And if you don't narrow down and hone in on a craft and learn your passion, it will cost you a lot of money as well. And it will cost you a lot of peace because you have to keep those contracts up. You have money coming from everywhere. You don't know which agents are writing what. You have chargebacks coming. So I would suggest anyone that's getting into the industry now, you don't have to be everything to all things. Just know what you want to market, know what type of agent you want to be, know what type of agency you want to be, and understand your contracts because that you can propel quickly and you don't have to have great loss. So those were the three main hiccups to the point where I almost wanted to quit the industry, but I was making so much money I didn't. But I wasn't happy at that time, so I was making a lot of money unhappy.
Yep. Yeah. They say money don't solve all problems.
No, it makes bigger problems.
Yeah. It's crazy. Big as small. Say more money, more problems sometimes, right? And it's one of his favorite
monumental problems.
Yeah, monumental problem. So let's talk about a little bit something. You became an agency owner. You had some mistakes and trials, but let's also talk about what it's like to be a Black woman in this business.
Ooh, that's a good one. So how about what it's like to be a young Black urban cute woman in this
I
business?
heard
Let's
that.
just add all of that. With a nice shape, good personality. You're like personified, so people mistake you and all those things. And when they realize, okay, she is a straight guru businesswoman in a man's world, because let's just get down to it.
Let's get down to it.
Insurance is a man's world. Okay. That was not designed for a woman. And I'm going to keep it right there. I'm not even going to talk about what nationality of a man's world it was. We just was exposed to it. But it definitely wasn't a woman's world. And so you're in a room with about 100 men and maybe 10 women. And back then, I used to have my head that honey blonde, wore a bob. I was, I was always a standout person. I was never a loud person, but when I step in a room, I was noticed. So I didn't know how to deflect myself because I'm coming in feeling like I'm coming to the table with what you coming to the table with. And so as a African American woman in this industry, it was hard. It was very grueling. I wasn't taken serious. Um, the men felt like I can come to the table if I'm compromising. And when they realized I wasn't compromising, a lot of stuff was being withheld from me. As an African American woman growing a team, you have other women come on the team and feel like they can do it better. So I had to, deal with that challenge um, of, having to battle with that as an identity issue. You have the men that come on the team, and some of them are coming because they really see your leadership ability, and some are coming because they have other agendas, and then it's not working out. Well, I never was a person. I don't eat where I just don't crap where I eat. I'm just gonna say it what it is. Because when it go good, it's good, and when it's bad, it's bad. You
That's
lose your
right.
money. And I'll tell any agent, whether male or female, always keep it professional.
Yes.
But as a woman in this industry, I had to fight to break through glass ceilings. I broke through a lot of ceilings. Even I was a independent marketing organization, which is hard to do. I had I had contracts with the Chicago Public School System Teachers Union, which is a rarity. So I had 685 accounts within 1 year, and I also was a single mom. So I really didn't have a lot of support. I had a lot of heartache, and the industry taught me tough love. It really did. As a woman, it's hard in this industry. It's it doesn't treat you the same as a man. So when I got to the place where I couldn't do it anymore, I just really prayed and cried out to God, and He sent me two men. I don't have to do nothing. They safeguard me. I could be a whole woman over here, and I could just, I could pop my collar and flex, and they're not gonna let nothing go wrong with me. They're not gonna allow any man in this industry to come into our organization and mishandle me.
No.
They gonna defend me. They'll allow me to be myself.
That's right.
But it's very hard as a woman in this industry, but it's even harder as a African American woman in this industry. That's an urban girl. See, I don't, I finish my sentences and I can pronunciate my T's at the end of a conversation. But when I don't feel like it and I want to, do a little urbanomics tongue, that doesn't sit well with everyone.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to change myself. I can only be who I am.
That's right.
So all of that comes with flaws and causes.
Yeah.
It's a cause and effect to everything.
Mm.
I've never desired to be anybody other than what I am. But what I learned was this. Being a woman in this industry, the wisest thing that I did, if you have any takeaway from everything I just said, if you are in this industry as a woman and you feel like you haven't cracked through that glass ceiling, be open to partnership. Get you some partners. And I'm not saying only look for men, but if you had a choice and you're a woman in this industry and you're a successful one, go look for male partners because they bring a lot to the table, and be open to allowing them to structure your life as well. Because if they're a man, they're going to come in as a protector, and they're also a breadwinner for their household. So they're looking for success, but you have to also be able to walk into the woman's shoes as a partnership, but also know that you can bring something to the table, and everyone respects anyone. Everyone respects each other. So that's what I would say. As a woman, it's hard, but it's worth it. If you've gotten to where you know that you need to continue to grow, but you've reached a certain plateau and you can't get any further, look for partnerships. It's really okay to have partnerships because the contracts are going to be very clear, and you don't have to be afraid of partnerships, which is what I was. I was wearing 1,000 hats as a woman, and that was very hard as well. So I wouldn't take anything back. I would say that as I'm older now, at the age of 60, if I reflect back to the 27 years ago that I got into the industry, I would probably would have not entangled myself with as many people that I had entangled myself with to avoid some of the heartache, but I wouldn't change anything about what I went through.
The journey.
Yeah.
Right. The journey. So let's talk a little bit about partnerships. And so I know partnerships, me, you, and Sam came together. All three of us was agency owners. But talk about your journey to partnerships. Partnership was new to all of us. And it was, that first year we were tug of war and stuff. But talk about what made you decide, okay, let me try this partnership thing. And some of the things that you think that made the partnership eventually become a successful one.
Burnout. Let's just start right there. I was completely burnt out. It wasn't that I wasn't successful, but I was burnt out. Yeah, I had an administrator. I had agents that I finally came on board that was producing, and I was doing a lot of different things, but I was my own marketer. I was my own accountant. I had an accountant, but I had to still deal with the numbers and the spreadsheets and things like that. So it was like taking off one hat, putting on another hat, putting on another hat. And then when I get home, I'm exhausted. It was complete burnout. And I just was done. I said, I can't do this by myself anymore because I was very successful. When I put my hands to the plow of something, I put everything inside of it. So I was being recognized by the insurance health company, the insurance companies, that I was a small agency, but I was a good agency that brought numbers. So the demand was there, but I just didn't have any help the way I needed it. And everything happens for a reason. I met Ortez the first month that I moved to Atlanta. He is a phenomenal recruiter. He is a phenomenal leader, and we was in each other's lives, passing through from time to time. And I met Sam through Ortez, and we became a passer through as well. And when right at COVID, it was right before COVID, uh, they called me based off of a conversation I had with God, and they just said we are all in need of a partnership. They was in need of. Sam said we have a team full of women, and we can't speak to what they need. We need a woman. I was tired to the point where I didn't even want agents anymore. I'll live off my renewals. I'm done. I'm just gonna sit over here and graze myself out and just, sunset out the industry. So we all was in need of each other. So number one is when you're dealing with partnership, make sure that there's a need. Don't do partnership because you want to hand off some of the labor. It has to be a true need for that. That's number one. Number two is know that the personalities are going to be married together. So you need to know what you're getting into. It's just like a relationship. You have to learn each other. You have to know their strengths and their weaknesses. You have to be open to correction. You have to know when to sit back and listen and when to say, no, this is the way we're going to do it. And everyone has to come together. As my partner over here said, we had some powwows. Yes. And Sam was that's the anchor. He would let us go on for about 30 minutes and look. We were back and forth with each other, and we was, voicing our opinion in a very, what would I call it? In an emotional way.
Yeah.
We were voicing our opinion, but we never got disrespectful. We just got, we were very passionate about what we were believing in, and said we wasn't getting nowhere. Put it that way. We were passionate about it, but we wasn't. No resolutions was coming, and then the resolution came. He said, "Okay, you know what? Just do it your way, Rosetta." I'm like, "Okay." How we get somewhere? That's my way. So, but he will allow me to do it my way, and then I would fall at my face. I was like, you know what? Like, okay, so he already knew he was going to come back again. Coming first, but that first year we learned each other, and then in a partnership, he okay with that first year of coming together. That's friction. That's iron sharpening iron. Like we'll take a knife and put it in the sharpener. You're doing that to sharpen. So that's what you're doing that first year. The second year is smoothing yourself out. And the key ingredient is if you're in a right partnership, it's going to always grow and evolve. So the next year, it was less friction, but now we're creating a system. The second year, we created a system, and the companies recognized that. And then we had to make a decision on what type of partnership is this going to look. We have to all be on the same page. It has to be one band, one sound. It can't be three sounds and a whole bunch of chaos. One band, one sound, and then now you're going somewhere. So our partnership is a unique one. I want to just say this one thing. When they weren't the first people that had approached me, but they were the only one that spoke to me, what I mean. And when they took me, so they said that they wanted me to go to a meeting. And I always ask God, I'm like, what should I wear today? And I had this white outfit. I put it in the weather outfit. I'm loud. So we got to the meeting and they took me in the meeting with them. We have lunch and they introduced each other. So like, it's our partnership, blah, blah, blah. This is right here to start getting phone calls because he's the balance of us. Like anybody can call him, he gonna give you 30 minutes to fumigate. He gonna give you about 3 days before he respond. He's the equilibrium. I'm more of the stop, get to it. Like what is that you need? That's me. Yeah. They said, how did you get her to agree to talk to each other? Good luck with that. I said, they said that. I said, no. I'm glad a lot of people said that. So now let me show you what this looks like. And we're here going on 4 years later, and we've been nothing but successful. We have one of the best, if not the best, agency in all 50 states, including Puerto Rico and Hawaii. I can put my head on that. We are phenomenal. We're phenomenal as a partnership. So partnership is great. Partnership is good when it's necessary, but you have to be willing to go through the growing pains together. Every year, we are getting better and better, and our system is locked and loaded now. We are at a system-driven organization. We stay out of each other's way. I'm going to end with this. Know your role as a partner and do not overlap it without permission. This is our recruiter and he's our contract specialist. I don't get in his way. When people call me and say, I want a contract with Oars, I say, call Ortez. When they say they want to do some IT, I say, call Ortez. He's our trainer. I call him and say, hey, I want to do a training on this Friday. I ask permission because he's our trainer. So know your role, be respectful, and understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, and ask for permission when you want to cross over into your partner's world. Don't just go over there because you can. Get the permission first because then the support will follow.
Good, good. Boy, you done gave me a lot of good clips. Well, I might have so many clips to chop up and send out. Some good information. So as we come to a closing here, so this this business has allowed us to be successful in many ways. And as you started off, you're a serial entrepreneur. And I tell you, I thought I worked hard, but she worked harder than me. So tell us a little bit about of course, we have oars that we run in here, but you ventured out to some other things because insurance allows you to do some other passions that you may have. So tell us about those other businesses that you got going on.
Yes. So we have Oars, which is our anchor, which he said insurance really will put you on a path of freedom. Okay. Freedom is the greatest thing in the world to have because it allows you to create. So I have Oars, which is the anchor. Then I have the Yummy Bistro, which my son is the curator of that, but I'm the business and the CFO. We have a takeout restaurant. We have the Oars and the Yummy Bistro food truck. So now we're putting that on the road. I have Rosetta FC, which is a financial consulting group that I have embarked on, which will just be doing workshops and teaching, financial literacy and, how to get into different businesses, not just insurance, and what are the foundational ingredients that you would need with that. And then I have Kingdom Network Connections, which is the nonprofit portion of everything. And that's just pulling all industries together, networking, pushing out. It's a philanthropist. I'm going to start getting donations and I want to undergird new entrepreneurs that's coming into the industry, even like with the simple things like their paperwork, um, how to market, how to, study the market and see where your locations, because location is everything. Paying for them to go to different workshops. So it's going to be a philanthropic uh the non-for-profit, but it's going to be to fund the companies that's coming into the industry and want to, get themselves into, and they're stuck because with this industry as an entrepreneur, you have four ingredients that you must have. You must have a vision, you must have a plan, you must have an execution, but the bottom line, you must have some money. Without that, it's all just a dream. And just turns into a nightmare quick unless you have organizations like Kingdom Network Connection, which is going to be up. And you know about that one.
I know. I'm listening to you.
Yeah,
This woman always got a
Kingdom Network Connect. That's he don't even know he gonna be a part of that too. But that we're gonna start getting donations in, and we're gonna start helping doing the workshops, and we're gonna start really helping people solidify themselves in the earth as an entrepreneur.
That's what I'm talking about. So y'all see, boy, she got a lot going on. She got a lot going on. She's successful in everything she puts her hand on. And so, hey, I'm there to support any type of way. So last but not least, last question I always ask everybody. In the next 5 years, where do Rosetta Davis see herself?
In closing, we are setting oars up to be a global enterprise. And in 5 years, I see myself doing nothing but conquer because I believe in this industry. I believe in the spirit of entrepreneurship. In the next 5 years, my conferences are going to be sold out with the birthdays because I know me. I just haven't put fingers to the plow because I'm working some things out. But I talk about it. And once you cast your vision out there, everybody's going to catch on. I have a lot to tell you all, and it's going to be worth the wait. And because I have Kingdom Network connections, it's going to always be affordable because there are millionaires out there that want to pour into things that they believe in, pour into ventures that they can see work. So in 5 years, I will just be full time. I will be 65. I'm still gonna be fine.
Yeah, that's right.
Still gonna be working out. I'm gonna still be a proud grandma, but I'm going to be on a large stage, and I'm going to really help entrepreneurs. That's my passion. So make people really tap into their gifts and explore. That's it.
Well, y'all make sure y'all follow her on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Rosetta Davis.
Rosetta Davis.
So that way y'all can stay in tune. I have it in the description of this podcast here, so y'all can stay in tune for all the things that she out there and she's doing. So I appreciate you, partner, for being on this podcast today and sharing and dropping a lot of jewels. I didn't have to do nothing, but I didn't know you had it in you. We definitely got to get your podcast going.
I know, right?
We got to get you.
Trust me, y'all. I'm so behind the scene. Like, look, you got something to say. I'm like, ooh.
You guys understand? We got to get the Rosetta Davis podcast going where she interviewed. But I appreciate you all for taking time out to enjoy the Insure Your Success podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with other entrepreneurs, and so you can be notified when the next episode. Until next time, see you on the next episode. Peace out.
Peace.
What's up, rookie?